everyone, how are you doing? Joe Marion here from MobileCupWithJoe.com. In this episode of Mobile Cup with Joe, I'm going to be giving you my full video review of the LG Spectrum 2. The LG Spectrum 2 is an exclusive to Verizon Wireless and is a pretty high-end device selling at a very mid-range price for $49.99 with a 2-year contract on Amazon.com. For that price, you're getting a 1.5 GHz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus processor, 1 GB of RAM, an HD LCD display with a pixel resolution 1280 by 720 with 312 pixels per inch, an 8 megapixel rear-facing camera, a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera, and more packing in this $50 device. So is the LG Spectrum 2 worth its very tiny price tag? Find out right now in this video review. But guys, before we go any further, please go ahead and grab that coffee cup, fill it up, don't forget to sit on down. Take a swig for a Mobile Cup of Joe. Alright, before we get too far in this video review, I'd like to give a big thank you and shout out to our friends over at LG for hooking us up with the LG Spectrum 2 and other awesome LG products. Because of companies like LG that send us their products that make Mobile Cup Joe possible by allowing us to unbox and review them for you guys, our fans. So big thanks to LG for the Spectrum 2, and let's get started with this review. We're going to start that off by talking about the Spectrum 2's design and build quality. We're going to start that part of the review off by talking about its dimensions. So the LG Spectrum 2 is 5.31 by 2.69 by 0.36 inches, and it weighs in at 5.22 ounces. On the front of the device, you have your 4.7-inch HD LCD display with your Android capacitive touch buttons on the bottom, Verizon logo at the top, and a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera. What's interesting about these Android capacitive touch buttons, aside from the fact that you have 4, a back button, a home button, a recent apps button, and on the Spectrum 2 you have an additional menu button, when you power the device on, they light up blue when in use. I thought this feature would be kind of cool, but actually tends to take away from the display of the phone, and can be kind of a minor annoyance. On the back of the phone, you have a plastic backing with your 4G LTE logo, LG logo, and your 8 megapixel rear-facing camera with LED flash. The back material, since it is plastic, it makes the device lighter than it would be if it was not plastic, but it does make the device feel a bit cheap at the same time. On the right of the handset, you have absolutely nothing. On the left, you have got your volume rocker, and you also have your micro USB syncing/charging port, which I found it very interesting that it was on the side. Most of the time we see it either at the bottom or at the top of the phone. LG Spectrum 2 is on the side, so I found that to be a tad interesting. Top of the device, you've got your power/lock button. In the middle of that, you have your microphone pinhole right there, and then you have your 3.5mm headphone jack. On the bottom of the device, you also have your second microphone pinhole. So overall, the LG Spectrum 2, as you can see, it's not the sexiest device. And this is mainly because of its design right here. You see that if you turn it over, you got kind of this plastic chrome design, which makes it look very thin. But if you look closer, you have a second layer of plastic right here, which is on the back of the phone. This is because the back is removable, which we'll get into in just a second when we talk about the hardware. So it does look like a very dated smartphone design. While it does feel sturdy, it's definitely, like I said, not the sexiest device out there, and does kind of feel like a 2011 handset, at least in terms of a design. So that is one of the cons of the Spectrum 2, is that its design is a bit poor, especially with these lights at the bottom that intend on lighting up blue every time you do use them. Now we're going to move on to some hardware specs of the LG Spectrum 2. So under the hood, powering it in terms of processing speeds, you have a 1.5 GHz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus processor, along with 1 GB of RAM. We'll go into our quadrant standard real quick, and so I can show you its benchmark, and let's run that real quick. So overall, in terms of processing speeds, I found the LG Spectrum 2 to be considerably snappy. Even though it's got a dual-core processor, while quad-core processors seem to be the rage nowadays, a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus is a very speedy processor. Whether you're playing games or browsing the web or just swiping through your home screens, everything is a very smooth experience. So turn off our umbrella light real quick so you can get a better view of the quadrant benchmark in its process and the action. Changing the light, like you can see, everything is running very smooth. You got a steady 59, 60 frames per second, which is fantastic. So this thing is great for games. So playing Fruit Ninja, Temple Run, etc., different games like that, everything was a very seamless and a very smooth experience. So it looks like the quadrant benchmark is on its final strand, DNA strand. Another pun. I gotta stop with these puns. I'm gonna lose viewers with using them. But you can see we got our quadrant benchmark finished, and we got a score of 5,261, powering way above the HTC One X. So very speedy processor. Let's zoom out a touch, and let's open a game. What game should we run? Let's run some Temple Run 2, just so you can see some actual gaming performance of the device. And let's go ahead. While that's loading up, we'll turn up our brightness real quick. I'm going to go back to Temple Run. You see multitasking also runs pretty good on the Spectrum 2. So there we go, it's loading Temple Run up. Temple Run 2 up. Fantastic game. If you haven't got a chance to play it yet, I highly suggest that you do. They're running away from the gigantic monkey, collecting all of our coins. Everything runs very smooth. I was actually pretty impressed with how well Temple Run 2 ran the Spectrum 2, because Temple Run 2 is a huge improvement, at least in terms of graphics, from the original one. So better graphics mean that it's going to require more processing power. But the Spectrum 2 powers through Temple Run 2, Fruit Ninja, Angry Birds, all your games that you're probably going to install on it day one when you get your device. It runs it just fine. As you can see, we're having no stuttering issues or anything. So that's a huge plus for the Spectrum 2. So let's turn our brightness, there we go. And now let's open our web browser. Oh, we haven't done this before in an episode or review of a product. I always mean to, but I just always seem to forget. So you can see how the processing speeds go. Let's go to mobilecupofjoe.com. And what did you do? Okay, so there we go, getting back in our browser. Spectrum 2 does come pre-installed with Google Chrome. It also comes installed with a stock browser, though, that is still included with the device. So you have Google Chrome on here installed day one. We're just going to test it out using the stock browser, though, that comes pre-installed. So loading up mobilecupofjoe.com, we got a Wi-Fi connection right now, and you can see it loaded up pretty fast, sliding through all of our news stories very smoothly. Let's try to hop into our menu. Let's go to About, and let's go to MCOJ Crew, just to see how it runs. Load in very smooth. Let's go to an About Me page, just to see how it loads an image with a picture. And it's loading her up, and there you go. As you can see, it runs really great. Oh my god, there's me. And my facial detection on the camera is picking up my face on the website. But you can see everything runs really great. The browser, the quadrant, standard benchmark test, everything runs beautifully on the LG Spectrum 2. Now, LG Spectrum 2 also has a 4.7-inch IPS LCD screen with a pixel resolution of 1280 by 720 with 312 ppi or pixels per inch, which makes the screen look downright gorgeous. You can see the colors look absolutely beautiful. They're nicely saturated, they're really vibrant. Text and everything is extremely easy to read. You can see that beautiful skyscraper in the background. Everything on the Spectrum 2 just looks stunning. If you're watching videos or looking at your pictures you took with your camera or playing games, whatever you decide to do, everything is going to look beautiful on the Spectrum 2's 720p HD display. Now, Spectrum 2 is also running on Verizon's 4G LTE network. If you may or may not be able to notice, well, you can't notice it right now, but in the area I live in Lawrence, Michigan, LTE is not available. We only get 3G coverage. Thankfully, we were able to go to a couple different locations where 4G LTE speeds were available. So let's go to speedtest.net and let's go to results so I can show you the speeds I did get when I did have LTE coverage. So all these tests were taken when I was within an LTE network. You can see we peaked up to even 23 megabits per second download and around 15 megabits per second upload. That was our highest peak we got. Standard around where your average is going to be, we get about 15 megabits per second upload or 17 megabits per second, or not, and 17 megabits per second download. So everything runs very smooth. You can see those speeds are actually incredible, and they should rival a lot of your home network speeds in terms of your internet at your home network. So 4G LTE speeds on the Spectrum 2 were blazingly fast, and they really can rival the internet you have at your house. The LG Spectrum 2 also has an 8 megapixel rear-facing camera with LED flash and a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera with no LED flash. The rear-facing camera can capture Full HD 1080p video, and the front-facing captures 720p HD video. Both cameras perform just fine. 8 megapixel camera on the back took some really pretty pictures, and the front-facing 1.3 megapixel camera will be great for video chatting on Google Plus or Skype, and is really great for taking self-portraits and profile pictures for yourself for any social networking sites you're on, such as Twitter or Facebook. Now, under the hood, in terms of battery performance, you've got a 2,150 milliamp hour battery, and the Spectrum 2 does have a removable battery, and we'll show you that if we can pop the back of the device off. So you just pop it off right there. And here you have your 2150 milliamp hour battery, and right here you have an option to expand your memory. You have 16 gigs of internal memory on the Spectrum 2, but you do have an option to expand it via micro SD card slot. Now, if you remove the battery, you will have access to your Verizon Wireless SIM card. So the back is really nice and easy to get to. I love the fact that LG still includes a removable battery on here in case you want to add an extra one or buy a larger one to give your device some extra juice. So it's always nice to see a removable battery on products. Even if it does make them a bit thicker than handsets that do not have removable batteries, it is nice to have the option to swap in and out of batteries that you would like to use to give your device a little bit more juice. And that's about it for the hardware of the device. Now let's jump into some quick software specs. So the LG Spectrum 2 is running an outdated version of the Android operating system. If we can get it to power on. Yep, we turned our handset off. While it is powering on, it doesn't take too long to do that. While it is, though, let me tell you about the software specs. So this LG Spectrum 2 is running Android 4.0.4 Ice Cream Sandwich, which is the latest version of Ice Cream Sandwich, but it is not the latest version of Android. The latest version of Android is Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean. We got Ice Cream Sandwich on this bad boy. While Ice Cream Sandwich is not a bad version of the Android operating system, Jelly Bean certainly is out there, and it is a bit of a disappointment to not see it make an appearance on the device. And LG has not been known to be the very best in terms of upgrading their devices with over-the-air upgrades to newer firmware versions of Android, so you're probably not going to see 4.1 Jelly Bean anytime soon on the Spectrum 2, or really ever at any point in time. We're really not sure. LG has not made any official statement on if this guy will ever be upgraded to Jelly Bean. With that said, though, Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich is layered, as with all of LG's latest phones, with LG's Optimus 3.0 user interface, which personally I really like. I know that I've mentioned before, in a lot of my videos actually, that I do prefer the vanilla feel of stock vanilla Android. While this is true, I do really like LG's Optimus 3.0 user interface. Some features it includes that I really like are the Quick Note feature, which allows you to write down some handwritten notes, a really nice and useful feature. Also, it gives you the ability to change your icons look like. So you can see, let's zoom in a touch so you can see what I mean. So say we hold down on our contacts icon, and we tap it again, we can actually change the icon of what it looks like. So let's choose C for contacts. And you can see that our contacts icon is now the letter C. While I don't know if many of you will really find this feature useful, it is nice. I am a huge fan of customization on my devices, and LG's Optimus 3.0 user interface really does allow for a ton of customization. LG also includes the option to change your transition effect when you're swiping through your home screen. So all you have to do is go to your settings, go to home screen, go to screen swipe effect, and let's choose domino. And then we'll go home, and you can see that we have a new screen swipe effect when we transition from home screens. We can go back to our home screen settings. We can go to, let's go to accordion. And you can see again we have a different transition effect. This is really nice if you love to customize your home screen. On stock Android, you do not have the option to change the transition effect when swiping through your home screens. So like I said before, it is really nice to see the added level of customization. One thing though that I'm not a fan of with the software on the LG Spectrum 2 is the bloatware. And oh my god, does this thing have a ton of bloatware. Got apps pre-installed on here such as Amazon, Amazon MP3, Amazon Kindle, MX Server. You got your standard Verizon apps such as Verizon Apps, Let's Golf 3, Real Racing 3, Mobile Hotspot, My Verizon Mobile, NFL Mobile, Polaris Office, you got Smart Share, you have VZ Navigator, Zappos, a ton of bloatware on the device. It really does hog up your memory, and although you do have an option to expand the LG Spectrum 2's memory via micro SD card slot, you only got 16 gigs of internal memory, and that is really going to eat up your memory that you have available when you take this thing out of the box, and it is a big downer of the device. Now, one thing that I really do like about the LG Spectrum 2 is that it is wireless charging enabled. LG does sell a wireless charging station specifically for the LG Spectrum 2. While it is not included in the purchase of the device, we did get a chance to play around with it because LG sent us a wireless charging pad along with the device, and it does work out really cool. One thing I'm not a fan of, I believe this goes for the same with all wireless charging options. You cannot charge the device via wireless charging if the device is power off. If you put the device on the wireless charging station, it'll automatically turn the device on and charge it that way. This is probably because of me just being a bit OCD, but I hate having my devices turn on when I charge them. When I charge my devices, I usually charge them towards the end of the day as I'm going to bed, and I just like having my handset turned off. I don't need it turned on. Even if I turn it on silent or vibrate, something about it, I just like my devices turned off. Again, this is me being OCD because I'm just weird like that, so this may not bother you, but it is just a problem I had with the wireless charging of the device. So it does bring us to my final verdict. So, LG Spectrum 2, as you can see, is a pretty great product, especially when you consider its price point. On Amazon.com with a 2-year contract, you can pick up the LG Spectrum 2 for only $49.99. That is an excellent deal, especially when you're getting that great HD display, getting the fast processing speeds, good cameras, although you do have to consider you are getting an outdated version of Android with no real confirmation of it ever going to be upgraded, and you also have this pretty ugly design, and it's a bit bulky as well. So with that said, I'm going to be giving the LG Spectrum 2 an 8 out of 10. If you're in the market for a new Android phone and you want to get a pretty high quality one, but you don't want to spend an arm and a leg, this is an awesome deal. You're really getting a high-end Android phone for the price of a mid-range product. So this is a fantastic deal. Like I said, in the market for a new Android handset, but you don't want to spend a ton of money, LG Spectrum 2 is definitely for you. So that is all we have and all the time we have for this episode of Mobile Cup of Joe. If you liked the video, please go ahead, hit the like button if you liked it. It takes 1 second to do so. Really does help support the show. And if you want to show your support towards the show even more, I would really appreciate it if you'd go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I think it's at the bottom of the screen now for more Mobile Cup of Joe videos. And you guys all know, Mobile Cup of Joe is on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it is on Google+. Mobile Cup of Joe is everywhere on the web. And don't forget to head on over to mobilecupofjoe.com/rankings to vote for your favorite smartphone on the market. And while you're there, click on the Join the Crew tab on our website and fill out an application to apply to become an official MCOJ crew member and work along with me and our other Mobile Cup of Joe crew members. And that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. I'm Joe Barn from mobilecupofjoe.com, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.